go ahead and get started because I always say I'm going to only take 30 minutes and then it ends up being like a full hour. So I want to come on tonight and talk a little bit about the post that I wrote the other day. So I think it was on, oh my gosh, it's Friday already. I'm so happy it's Friday. Side note, on Thursday or Wednesday, I can't remember which day, I decided to do a whole reintroduction. First of all, I must say before I even like talk about my whole reason for the reintroduction, I was really sad that no one picked up that that was a Jay-Z Jay-Z quote, you know, with the 444, the baby's being born. Nobody got that, but whatever. Um, I'm hoping that, I'm sorry, I keep looking down because I can see that it's generating an audience for me, but I can also see that it looks like it has a little bit of a lag. So anyway, let me come on and talk about my post. As I shared with you guys a couple of sessions ago, I've really been going through this evolution of myself as a service provider, and not only as a service provider, but also in the way that I want to show up online and also show up in the world. Um, when you are a black girl and you grow up with the message of being twice as good, and we all know Papa Pope didn't say that first, but we know that growing up, that's how I was raised about having to be twice as good in order to get half as much as the other folks. And I would like to believe that that was just something that our parents told us and our grandparents told us to kind of instill some drive and urgency in us. But as I look around in my life, even currently, that's still true. It's still true that in order for us to kind of get the same level of recognition, that we have to work really hard. There's some study that shows that black men who are educated have as much as get as much promotion, etc., job salaries, etc. Hey, Johnny, as white men who are only high school educated. So the discrepancies in the world and the biases in the world definitely exist, and it's not something that we made up in our head. And one of the ways that I was taught to navigate that, and I think a lot of black people, black women in particular, were taught how to navigate it was through respectability politics. And respectability politics is the basic idea that if you show up looking a certain way and behaving a certain way, then you in that certain way being, you know, prim and proper, neat, put together, then you have more of a chance of being taken seriously. You have more of a chance of kind of escaping some of those consequences that could happen if you don't look the part. And you know, we've seen that so many times, not only in recent history. You guys remember? I cannot remember her name for at all. But remember when Trayvon Martin's friend took the stand in against George Zimmerman, and how many people came for her because her English wasn't that good, or you know, she had a certain kind of nails, or she wore her hair a certain way. People really came for her about why she wasn't, you know, looking good enough. And we look up to people like, you know, Claire Huxtable. That was always, hey Latrice, that was always the person I looked up to, because we were really taught that, and we learned those skills early on as, you know, as a survival tactic. We saw that in the civil rights era, that the people came in what it was really important for them to wear dresses and heels and suits and hats, because they wanted people to they wanted to create this certain narrative in the news that if you are putting down these good black people, then, you know, all of a sudden that became bad for white people to see. They're like, oh my God, what's going on? We need to intervene. Because as long as they were, you know, shooting and killing black folks in the hood and in all of those places, nobody cared about that. Nobody cared about black people. Nobody cared about black poor people. So respectability politics, you know, was our way of survival. And I think that one of the things that I wasn't aware of, because I've always prided myself on being a rebel and pushing the envelope and pushing boundaries, was I didn't realize how much I was really playing into respectability politics. Not necessarily in the way I dressed, even though, yeah, it was. Let me be real. It was absolutely in the way I dressed. It doesn't earn us respect, and it doesn't earn us respect, but it helps us to feel safe in a certain kind of twisted lens. It doesn't earn us respect, but we think that we're not losing as much, or we think about how much bigger the consequences would look if we looked a certain way or if we acted a different way. You know, I remember being at Columbia, which is, the epitome of Ivy League, the ivory tower, white folks everywhere, and we didn't wear jeans and t-shirts and sneakers to class. We didn't. We dressed to go to class because we knew that everybody who was looking at us assumed we were there for affirmative action, assumed we were taking some white kid's space, and assumed that we didn't deserve to be there. So we always had to show up differently and push ourselves really hard just to be able to navigate the kind of conversations that we needed to have in the classroom. But it was definitely detrimental. I remember one time when we were having, the Black Student Organization had a conversation with us about how to start preparing for interviews. And I kid you guys not, like, I wish I could make this up, but it's 100% true. And I remember one of the alums coming back and teaching us girls that, it's cool and stuff to wear your hair natural in college, but you better press it, slick it back, put it in the bun, wear your pearls, wear your single strand of pearls when you go on these interviews. Get a wig if necessary. Do whatever you're going to do once you get in the door. But to get in the door, this is what you had to look like. And this was literally the Black Student Organization was having this meeting with us. And people were taking notes furiously about how to get into these places. And I remember advisors wouldn't tell us this, but the conversation amongst many Black folks would be careful about what your transcript looked like. Don't have too many Black classes on your transcript because you won't be taken as seriously. Now, whether that's true or not, what it did end up doing for me was it really showed up in the way that I've carried myself. I'm not one to flaunt my degrees. Like, it's here or there. I got student loans to be able to prove to me what school I went to. I do not need to drop names. Like, that's just not who I am. But I found myself being really careful about how I come across. Careful because I wanted to be taken seriously. First, because I thought I was, young, short. I look like, tell the truth, y'all. For those of y'all who know my age, you know my age. But everybody else will look at me like, oh, you're 22. And I'm like, yes, finally, I look like I'm in my 20s. I got one more year left in my 30s before I'm hitting 40. Whoop, whoop. I think I'm like the only person in the world that's like super excited about almost turning 40. But anyway, I digress. And I wanted to be taken seriously. And so I've always been extremely careful about the way that I come across. And not just in terms of dress and hair, because my hair is always big, but but in my word choice, um, just in everything. Like, you won't catch me looking sloppy unless I'm at home. And I don't, when I say looking sloppy, I'm not talking about, um, obviously wearing yoga pants or that anything else is sloppy, but just like even things like for a long time, y'all, I didn't wear sweats out the house. I definitely didn't wear yoga pants. I didn't do those things because I always was fearful. What if I ran into X, Y, and Z? What if I saw a client? What if I saw one of my parents? What if I saw these people in the street and I wanted them to respect me? And I realized that a lot of that was pressure on myself that I put on myself, but also at the same time, I think it was pressure that the community puts on you as a leader. When you're labeled the one that got out, when you're labeled the one that made it, when you're labeled the authority in some kind of way, especially when you are a Black person, and especially you are a Black woman, you are carrying all of the hopes and dreams and fears of the people that came before you. And that's pressure. And that's pressure that we don't want to disappoint. Most of us don't want to disappoint. And most of us want to prove people, we want to make our folks proud. We want to make the people who came before us proud. We want to make the D-boy back at home proud. Those are the people that we're doing this for. And yet we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And what I saw for myself that pressure ended up being, and here's something else too that truly I truly believe in. Whatever you see in the world or whatever you believe the world to be, you will attract more of that. Hey, Dad. You'll attract more of that, which means that if you believe that about the world, the whole twice as good to get half as much. If you believe that you are responsible for everyone else's dreams, if you believe that if you mess up, it's going to be some huge catastrophic mess up. If you believe that you have to be showing up a certain way in order to to be taken as respectable and as, you know, all of those things, then you will start to not just attract all of that magnetically, even though I do believe that, but you start to filter the world and you start to look for opportunities to reinforce that belief. You start to hang out with people that say the same thing. You start to see examples and instances of that in your life, and that becomes the lens and the way that you filter everything. And all that ends up doing is repeating the cycle over and over and over again. So what ended up happening? Oh, Erica, I can't wait for you to see. I can't wait to see your thoughts as well. Hey, Dad, thank you so much. Um, what ended up happening for me was that I ended up, you know, being in the same circles with people that were saying those same kind of messages. And but what was interesting though was when I started hearing those messages back, that was the first time. So I would say over this last couple of years, I started hearing that message back from people, and that was my first wake up like, I don't like what you're saying. I don't like you telling me to be careful about who I hire because it might look like I have too many people of color in leadership. Like that was really said to me. Um, be careful about this, and you know, ooh, look at what so and so and so and so was wearing because X, Y, and Z. But I'm like, the homegirl next to her has on the same thing. Why is that not a problem? It's not a problem because we're really what the issue was on body type, and not just body type, but Black women's body type. And I really had to start checking myself, like, oh my God, am I really starting to replicate these same destructive belief patterns when I didn't even realize it? And I had to really check myself because I remember when I first started being aware of me policing women's body was was not when I first started becoming aware that that's what I was doing, and it would happen in really innocent ways, like me writing my staff handbook and trying to describe what is too tight, and realizing that really I didn't have an issue with too tight pants. I had an issue with the way certain pants looked on women, and then that was really about me. It was really about me and about the way that I only wear my Michelle Obama dresses, as my daughter calls them, because I'm trying not to draw attention to my butt and my hips. And if y'all saw me in real life, ain't nothing I can do to not draw attention to it. I can try to make it look cute with the little A-line or the empire waist, but it's just is what it is. And I realized in those moments how much that this is really this was really hearing those messages externally gave me an opportunity to really check my own beliefs. And as I peeled away one layer, then there became more and more and more stuff to undo. So I see y'all still here. I'm actually have like 5 people on, so excited. Jump in. Is this resonating with anybody? Has anybody else ever had this experience where you realized that you're putting this pressure on yourself because of these external messages to make the community proud, to not fuck it up for everybody else that came before you? Am I the only one that went through this and had these kind of systems and voices and messages in your head? I know there's a Facebook lag. Nashima, I'm glad you're finding this helpful. And so what ended up happening, so that was just like, with clothing was the first thing. And I'm like, wow, I realized I have a huge body hang up. And this is something that I didn't tell a lot of people about this, but when I realized this, and actually, Daphne, you were here for this. I always have these body challenges every single year, as long for like the last 10 years I can easily remember, easily 10 years. I think my first one was a raw food challenge, and the next one was juicing, and next one was insanity. I've always had these like different food challenges that I would do, these 30-day food challenges, because I'm trying to be healthy, right? Wrong. Really what it was that it was really disordered thinking and disordered food issues, and really about a disordered view of my body. And so this year I challenged myself to not have any food challenges, not to have any food challenges, not to have any type of food restrictions, because I like to do stuff in extreme. Y'all, I'm not going to do. And I invited my daughter in here because she's like, I want to spend some time with you. So I said she can come join us. You want to come say hi to people?
Hello.
And hey, I believe in transparency, and I think that this is how we learn, and this is how we all learned by listening to sitting at the feet of our elders and pretending to play dolls. Do we get some good juicy stuff growing up? Was I the only nosy child that used to pretend to read around all of the grown folks so I could get all of the tea? I was real quiet, y'all. I was so good at it too. So anyway, do you want to go grab a chair or something?
Sure.
All right. So, y'all laughing because y'all know that was y'all too. Um, so this year I decided that I'm going to not do any food challenges. I'm not going to count a calorie this year. Um, you got all the tea all day, right? Shiva, girl, I got some tea. That was probably the beginning of my tea loving because I was just like, y'all, sorry, side note, I used to have like it such down to a science. I would turn my book every few seconds to make it look like I was turning pages and stuff. I was good. I was good. I was a good ear hustler. This child ain't got no ear hustling skills. So I just say it plain because she's gonna ask me 1,000 questions anyway. So all of that to say that I decided this year that I was going to not do that to myself. I'm not going to do a diet. I'm not going to count a calorie. I'm not doing some weight loss challenge. I'm not doing some fitness challenge. And so all of my recent love of yoga, and that's two of my babies. I got one more somewhere. And running has been all about mental clarity and not about changing my body or trying to manipulate my body or trying to do what's right. So that was another layer that that I peeled back. And so as I've been doing this, other things that have been coming up for me was realizing that I was really I'm trying to see how to say this diplomatically because I'm not usually a diplomatic person, but I do want to respect. Here, how I'll say it. In my desire to also show up right and to do things right, I think I also sought out advice and leadership from people um, who had a particular way of showing up themselves and really advised me to show up this way. And it was very well intentioned and it did help position me a certain way. You're not going to stand behind me this whole time with these dogs. You can come in and hang out, but you're not going to just look like a ghost or a creeper. You can get your iPad too if you want, or you can sit there. It's fine, either one. And I was really concentrating on kind of getting approval and concentrating on doing it right to the point that I lost my own voice. And I lost my own voice because I thought my voice wasn't right, and I thought that um, the way that I was showing up wasn't the right way to do it. And so I really wanted to niche down, and I wanted to be again seen as reputable. And I started kind of doing that same stuff again with showing up a certain way and really being careful about my language, and not careful about my language for the sake of precision, but careful about my language because I wanted to present a certain way as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, as a coach. And that's who I am part of the time, but that's not what gives me joy. It's not. And y'all know, y'all see me here. I'm Aaliyah. I'm Aaliyah. I'm all of those things. I rep Beyonce seriously. I'm wearing my stretch pants. I have my crystals on. Morgan, if you're watching this, thank you. That's who I am, and I wasn't showing up that way because I didn't want to offend people. I didn't want to seem too flaky. Those are some of the other things I've been told. I didn't want to seem like someone to not be taken seriously, and I find that. When you're different, and I can check all kinds of different boxes, but when you're different and you're carefree black girl, if you don't look a certain way, then people don't take you as seriously, and not even just professionally, but also personally. And it's easy to describe yourself when you fit into certain boxes and certain labels. I assume it's easy. It's easy to say, I'm a cis woman. It's easy to say, I'm an American. It's easy to say, I have a typically functioning body. Those things are really easy to say, but when you're not those things, you tend to want to acclimate. You tend to want to assimilate, and so, or it's harder to not only describe who you are, but it's harder for you to justify why who you are is valid. That's what it is. When you don't fit in the box, it's harder to justify to others and sometimes to yourself about why who you are is valid. And I realized that I was in this course with Tori and Ariel, and who are some of my other boos on here? I can't see. Monica, I think, is in the course, and I know I got some other lovely folks, other people. And part of doing this course, Embodying Your Soul's Purpose, was we had to get really honest about who we were. Like, really honest. Like, Tori did not let us live, y'all. Y'all. She did not let us live. And the ladies did not let you live, in the sense that you had to be authentic, and I had to pull back the layers. And what I found myself doing, I remember before the course even started, I sent her an inbox, and it was probably some weekend night, and I was like, oh my God, in my dream of dreams, this is what I want to be. This is what I aspire to do, and I'm scared shitless, and I will never get paid to do it. And but I just need to get it out. I just need to tell somebody that could understand that this is kind of my vision of myself, but I don't think it's not practical. Another thing I noticed that was happening kind of before this, and you were a part of this as well. I'm part of Y'all think I'm joking about this beehive stuff. I'm part of a Lemonade group on Facebook, and when I tell you, that was previously one of my favorite places to be online, because it was a group of women. There's about 140 of us that are really just literally taking our hair down, talking. When Lemonade came out, it sparked so much in us about what does it mean to be a woman, what does it mean to be a woman of color, what does it mean to have complicated relationships with our spouses and our fathers, what does it mean to be an American Southern woman in particular? But when I say Southern, in meaning that most Black folks in America have originated from the South in some way, shape, or form, but kind of the intersectionalism of religion, even about how, we're taught to be Christian, but there's all of these layers of African and traditional beliefs underneath that we don't talk about, but that we perform all of the time. So what does all of this mean? And when I tell y'all, in this group of women, everybody was brutally honest and supportive and vulnerable. And it made me think about how in those two particular places, in the Lemonade group and in Tori's class, I was able to be vulnerable in a way that I don't allow myself to be. And I saw that, again, it was those mirrors were coming back up for me. And it was showing me how really divided I was. Like, I had these two different existences. I had the professional, put together Michelle Obama, Claire Huxtable, Olivia Pope Aaliyah. Then I had Lemonade. Monica, when I tell y'all I truly believe Lemonade is sacred text, I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. Like, I'm not saying that just as a joke or just because I'm this crazy fan. Because truth be told, I was not a Beyonce Beehive member until 4. I wasn't that much of a fan before. I liked her, but I was not like hard in the paint. When 4 came out, I'm like, she's starting to tell some real truths. And I'm going to talk about that in a whole nother video about how I knew she was dealing with infertility, because game recognized game and certain things that she was saying. I was like, she's actually being a real woman now. Like, not this manufactured cute girl, blah, blah, blah. But she's showing some real stuff. And I identified with her in so many ways. So anyway, I digress. And I had to really push myself about not only who am I when the chips are down or when I'm in safe places, but also what's keeping me from telling the world about who I am. So let me go back and answer some comments. I'll look at some comments. Daphne said you love the real me. Daphne, you don't even know how much you said a word. I'm gonna say something about that too. Ariel, am I saying your name right, or am I just totally butchering it? It's a beautiful you voice in this work, and I can't express how inspiring your energy is for me to push through the fear. Ariel, I truly, when I say I do it for us, I do it for us. Like when I say that I do it scared, I do it scared. Y'all just don't even know. Like for real, I told this to Latoya. Here's the truth behind the screen. That ain't Coke, y'all. That ain't Coke. And when you're a woman that's almost 40, you can't do that little cute, light pink, uh, fruity shit no more. We do it scared. And with whiskey. I think that's rum. It's one of the two, my favorite. But I do it for us because I know two things. I know that my time on this earth is finite. I'm not crying, y'all. I just had a little bit of drink in my throat still. I know my time on this earth is finite. I'm going to live to be 147, but I can't say I'm going to live beyond 147. And therefore, I deserve to experience everything there is in life that's for me to experience. I deserve that. As you know, with a plastic surgery, I told y'all thought I was crazy when I say that I know I'm quirky and weird as hell, and certain things like I don't touch messy food in public. I just don't. I had some wings today at work, and I was like, there was literally nobody in the entire building. The building is closed for the summer, but I was there because I had to do some stuff, and I was sitting here eating my wings, looking out the door, like nobody better ever walk in and see me eating these wings, because that is just like, I can't do that. And I drink straws all the time with straws. Like I don't like ugh. Anyway, and so because my time on earth is finite, I deserve to live my life. I'm not responsible for living other people's lives. When I go back to my creator and my angels and my ancestors, they're going to ask for an account of my life, not did I make up for so and so else's life? Did I atone for so and so's sins? I can't live for them. So it's important for me to be truthful and to experience life. The other thing is that I also have a responsibility, and what was so meaningful for me growing up was when I saw images of other people like me, whether it's other people of color, whether it's other women, whether it's other queer people, whether it's other queer people, queer women. And so and those images were very, very few, to the point that when I saw one, it was just like latch on. And so I always vowed to myself that I don't want other people to go through life feeling alone and feeling like they're the only one. So as much as I can hold space and show up a certain way, to give people just a mirror that, one, you're not alone and you can do this. If I can do it scared with all of the, the things working against me, you can too. And so that's really important for me to show up. So as I was going through this work, and y'all, I didn't have anything scripted out because I knew if I was going to write down like my talking points, I was going to psych myself out. So I didn't write anything out. So as I was going through and I started to realize that I was living this very, splintered life. That's the best way I can think about it. God was showing up. Let me tell y'all what God does. And God does this with everybody, with the whole God squad, the whole team. God's going to put some stuff in place that's like, oh, you think you know now? I'm going to make sure that you don't forget it. What I'm going to do to make sure that you don't forget it is I'm going to make going back so uncomfortable, so devastating, so just like nauseating that you're only going to want to live this way. So lots of things have happened to me over this year that has truly prevented me from going backwards. Like I can't even describe as much because I don't want to on the innocent or whatever their little saying, like I'm not trying to tell their business basically. But when I say people have been removed out of my life that I was frantically trying to hold on to, God was like, that's not for you. And not because there's anything wrong with you or anything wrong with them. That's just not going to help you grow into the person who you need to be. And I remember towards the end of one particular season, I was bargaining. I was like, I will give it all up. I will be this way. I will fit in the box. Like I had the box written down. I will be that because this person in this relationship is really important to me. And God was like, no, it just can't happen. And so kicking and screaming and clawing and crying, I couldn't say. Another thing that happened was, I could tell this. I'm okay with being honest. Um, I had said this time last year that I was going to be out of my current position this year. This at this time. So back in 2016, July, I said that June 2017 was going to be it. And for lots of reasons, I tried to take where I was going and make it fit neatly. So I went up for a position that wasn't a strong match for me, but it was something different. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket. Long story short, and I was told and kind of coached and all of this to say that I was going to be like a shoo-in for this position. But guess what, y'all? I didn't get it, and it was devastating. And at the time, and for a really long time, like for weeks and months, I was really crushed. I was crushed, not just because I didn't get it, because I'm okay with, if there's somebody better qualified getting it, then that's on them. But I was crushed because I didn't understand the rationale, and I don't think that I'll just leave it at that. And what I do know is that it's because that position wasn't for me. If I would have stayed in that position, if I would have gotten that position, I wouldn't be showing up like how I am now. I would have been more Claire Huxtable, more Olivia Pope, more, Michelle Obama. And that's not who I am. And so again, I realized that God was like, no, that's you said you weren't going to do this. I told you you weren't going to do this. I put a vision in front of you so you knew that wasn't it, but you still insist on trying to stay under your mother's covers. No. Nope, nope, nope. So that's kind of what happened. And now it's to the point that my intuition is so strong that it's frustrating. Like I'm like, oh, maybe, and I'm like, but I just want to ignore that flag. You like I have to be me. Um, and so back to what Daphne was saying was like, you love the real me. When I said one thing that like totally surprised me was that when I did my post the other day, Nashima, not only listen to the universe, but listen to the universe within. Our intuition and our gut, our first mind, it's 100% of the time right. It is. And sometimes we've conditioned ourselves, especially as women, to ignore it. We've conditioned ourselves to say, well, that's not practical. It can't be pointing me in the right way. Or if I do follow my gut, where is that going to lead me? It's not going to be safe. It's not going to be all of these things. So we start to ignore it. And what happens over time when you start to ignore it and override it is that it doesn't become broken, but our sensor for it becomes broken to the point that we don't even know how to be still and listen to it anymore. We don't know how to not be busy long enough to be able to sit and listen. We forget how to access it because we numb that away. We numb it away with responsibility. We numb it away with roles. We numb it away with titles. We numb it away sometimes with religion and listening. And when I say religion, what I mean by that, I don't mean God, but I'm saying about other people's interpretation about your relationship with God. Listen to that. Someone else's external interpretation about your relationship with God. Sometimes we listen to all of the noise that we forget how to listen to ourselves first, and we forget that God speaks directly to us. We do not need an intermediary. There are people that are there to guide and to teach and to help us develop, but ultimately your soul and your heart is enough. It's enough. It's enough. Period. I will go on record to say it. You can fight me for it, but it's enough. And so when Daphne made that comment the other day about, she inboxed me because I'm just going to tell her business. She all right with it. And she said, Aaliyah, I feel like you just came out again. And I wrote my post. I was really taken aback by the response. I didn't intentionally tag anyone. I didn't intentionally try to make a big production of it. 90% of it was it being cathartic for me. And the comments that came up was what had affirmed for me and shocked me and surprised me was how many people were waiting to see the real me and knew more than I did how careful I was showing up, how curated I was showing up, how I was showing up. And I thought I was doing a really good job of, showing up a certain way. And you guys didn't think none the wiser that there was something else there. And turns out I wasn't fooling nobody. And turns out that you guys actually like the real me. That was a little bit surprising. That was a lot bit surprising to me. I didn't check my friend numbers, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to be unfriended, erased, deleted. Who's this crazy girl talking about trap music and not being religious or subscribing to a particular religion and talking about, I joking about the beehive and stuff like this, but like really me being really serious about this is who I am and being honest about these are all of my complexities. And I was surprised. I was surprised. And in business, we learn that when you tell the truth about who you are, when you show up authentically, then your real people can, the people who are for you and who are your clients can better see you. They can better identify you. And I was surprised about how my tribe, and I'm not talking. Oop, it lagged for a second. I was surprised about how much my tribe were able to name it and say that they saw me and that they felt like they were seeing me for the first time in honesty. So 38 minutes. I got in for under an hour. Let me take a moment and sip on my plastic straw and read some of these comments and answer questions that you guys might have. Ariel said, that's right, my name. I love to hear someone who can identify some music as sacred. I don't know Beyonce's music well enough, but Michael Franti is like that for me. Ooh, I need to check out who Michael Franti is. I don't know who he is, but I really believe that music is like, it sensory, I don't know, whatever the word is right now. I think it has a way to speak to us deeper in our soul than just hearing regular speech, but it's something about the music and lyrics that kind of becomes like this meditative experience almost for me. But no, Beyonce's Lemonade album was that, and not just the music, because you can listen to the album and feel like, oh, that's cool, but actually watching the film and seeing all of the images and visuals and story that's told, like my moment right now, y'all. So for those of y'all that love Lemonade, like me, because if you are my friend, then you do remember where in the first like 5-7 minutes of the film, when she first realizes that her husband is cheating on her and she's trying to do all of the right things to keep him. She talks about, plugging her menses with a holy word and fasting and trying to be all of this perfect place. And then she goes to the balcony and jumps off. And when she jumps off, she's actually not dying, but she's diving into herself. And she reemerges as Oshun. Y'all probably didn't even catch that. And and what's beautiful about Oshun is that Oshun is the sweetness of life. And also, I saw that as her reemerging as her true self, as her authentic self, as her connected to spirit self. And I was like, everything for me. So I felt like I'm walking around in yellow with hot sauce bat. That's me right now. That's the Beyonce that I'm besties with in my head. Monica, dual reality. Nashima, you learned that lesson and today appreciate the lesson. Yeah, lessons are funny. You be like, for real, God, I really don't need to experience this pain. This really does not fit with my schedule right now. I had different plans for 2017. This was not how any of this was supposed to be. But let me tell you, somehow we can always look back and say, okay, that was it ended up working out some way, shape, or form. So here's a secret, y'all. See, because y'all are my booze and you're all here with me on a Friday night. So you saw my announcement about Mary Kay. Let me tell you guys how I got into Mary Kay in January. So in January, I was devastated. I was devastated. I had so much stuff going on personally that my life, and I'm not, when I tell you I'm Olivia Pope, I'm Olivia Pope. I don't cry. I get shit done. We just got to keep going. When life is bad, you call B613, or you just keep it moving. You put on some cute heels, put some funk music in the back, and you strut off and you keep that shit together and you keep it cute because you got business to take care of. That's typically me. So, but that wasn't me this year. When I tell you I was crying every single day, like not just like, oh, life is hard, but like having full on breakdowns. I need to go home because I can't function and my face is red. That was me. So in January, I had the opportunity from one of my friends. He's like, oh, I'm doing some facials. It was for another friend's birthday. Let me do your face. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So he did my facial and I put the makeup on. I'm like, oh, I really like this makeup. And so I started wearing makeup every day. Here's the secret. I started wearing full face foundation, everything every day, because as long as I was wearing makeup, I wouldn't let myself cry. So that was my secret that was one of my secrets to getting through, was that I'm not about to be going around school looking like a raccoon, looking crazy. So let me get myself together because I got to keep it together. And never let them see you sweat. The person who I was crying over, I'm like, I can't let her see me like being like a complete mess, even though she already knew I was a complete mess. But that was part of my method to dealing with the intense grief that I was going through at the time. And Mary Kay was that for me. And at the same time, my face started clearing up. Like for real, y'all, I'm not even wearing any foundation, and I'm kind of really proud of that. But like my face really cleared up, and I'm someone who's always had like adult acne, the whole nine. And so I'm like, hey, this is really cool. And what's funny is that, and I still wasn't interested necessarily in selling Mary Kay, but I kept having friends asking me about what is going on with your skin. Your skin looks so great. And I'm like, oh yeah, you need to talk to my friend Adonis. Hey boo, if you're watching this, because his face he will get you together. Da, 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 da. And I kept sending him clients, and they were like, we don't want to buy from him, we want to buy from you. But I'm like, but I don't sell Mary Kay. They're like, well, why don't you? So finally I listened. So my Mary Kay journey was because I was trying to keep it together and keep it cute at work and not completely be a 101,000% mess. That's a little tangent about that. And when we do, then we will understand our road better. I have to go back and listen to see, Nashima, what you were talking about that. So that's my coming out story, and it's really about coming out to myself and coming out for myself and telling the truth about who I am, so that I don't have this dual reality, that I am consistent in all of the ways that I show up, and I'm consistent here, and I'm consistent personally and privately and professionally, that I'm consistent in all of those places, because not only does it help it helps you, but it also helps me. It helps me to feel more integrated and feel like I don't have so much more to juggle. I don't have to keep up with these different versions of me. I can just be me, and people who are for me, and those who aren't. But I am able to live consistently and live and move forward versus trying to juggle everybody else's pressures and needs and hopes and dreams and desires. So before I sign off and wonder, like, seriously, did my dog just like drop a fart bomb that was so gross? I'm so sorry to say, y'all, but I was just like, the hell just happened? What questions do you guys have for me before I sign off? And thank you guys for sticking with me on a Friday night, 45 minutes strong, as I drink out my green plastic straw. Well, as usual, if you're watching this on a replay and you have questions or comments or thoughts, please feel free to still comment away anyway, and I will come back and respond, even if it's after this time. And my crew, we riding strong. So if you're not part of my crew yet, you're not part of my tribe, I definitely advise you to go over to my soul tribe, because I'm getting ready to kick off some really great stuff and some cool stuff for the ladies and few gentlemen that I have over there. but we're rolling deep about, holding space for ourselves, holding space for our visions and for our journeys, and being able to be self-authored and integrated and fully whole people as individuals and then as a community. So I invite you there, and I'm excited because I get to type it easily into the comment box since I am on my computer. And that's it for me. Oh my gosh. So I'm so sorry. I'm sitting here talking about, can you guys see me? And I didn't see all of these comments. So let me pause for a second. I didn't scroll. It wasn't scrolling. As said, I think sacred music is deep in our bones as daughters of Africa. I absolutely believe that. Like, it's funny because when we look at religion in America, especially, Black church in the South, and we look at shouting and all of that, like that came from drum circles. That came from our people in having the spirit ride us. And I can't remember the exact phrase, but that's not something that was invented in a church here. Like that was something that we brought with us from the motherland. So it is absolutely deep in our bones. Thank you. Ask about my hair. Hey, Latoya, thank you for joining. Hey, Andea, thank you for joining. Y'all know I've been rocking natural hair since '96, and I finally happened to stumble upon this product that's like truly. I don't have to mix it, match it, layer it with nothing. Miss Jackie's something or other. I'm loving. I don't get super hair residue. It is just everything. And I dyed my hair. About a month or so ago. So I've been using Treseme's Treseme's conditioner for color treated hair. And those two things together have just been like, I'm feeling super just like awesome. And this is actually 2-day hair. If you believe it, I did nothing to my hair last night, but slapped on a bonnet, woke up this morning and did one of these kind of moves. And that's it, no product. Nashima said, my daughter's learning a lot. We're going to see how she turns out. Good question. Yay. So Nashima said, what are my next steps? My next steps are, I'm so excited to talk about this. So I'm working with Ariel and some other women, Latoya and some other women, about restructuring my program and offerings. So what I can say definitely is happening right now is that I'm doing live events and community workshops in my home. Actually, I have my next one. So if you're in Dallas and you're not coming to F Your Vision Board, you need to be signed up. It's on August 12th, and so I'm doing that as an event. And I'm working on my mastermind and restructuring what my group was looking like. What I will be focusing on in general going forward will be group coaching. I shouldn't say group coaching because that's not exactly what this is. More group masterminding. And so what the difference is that with group coaching is like so what I will be doing instead of doing like kind of like downloadable courses is that you'll be able to go into a private space where we'll be doing this kind of instruction, dialogue, and lessons and work, because this wouldn't be just like me talking, but it'll actually be work for you to do to kind of heal some of your old narratives and old stories and create new ones, as well as not develop your own belief system, but recover your belief so that you, and with the idea that by unleashing all of that, unleashing who you truly are, unleashing your inner goddess, that you're able to access your dreams and your vision and to carry those to fruition. So that's what I'm working on, both in live format through live events, also through group masterminding, coaching, a group experience, and then also through retreats. So those are the big 3 things that I'm focusing on this next year. And I hope that I see all of you or many of you all taking advantage of that, because what I found is that I love the dialogue. I love the relationship building. And I feel like you guys understand and can take more from that versus something that's kind of just on paper elsewhere in terms of this kind of work. So I want to work with some women to some build spaces for that. Also, if you go on my website, you will see that I completely taken a whole bunch of stuff down. It's all about, are you ready to join my goddess circle? And let's do this shit for real. And you can go and make sure that you're on my mailing list. So I'm glad I actually thought to scroll. Hey, Nancy. Nancy, I just told my whole Mary Kay story, and you have to go back and watch it. It's about 10 minutes ago about how like Mary Kay was such a huge part of me getting through my grieving process this past January. So I'm gonna spoil it for you, but y'all, Nancy is my unit leader and my brand new role in life as a consultant. So, hey, Tina. Ariel, I love the collaboration. I find that we really feed off of each other's energy, and that in itself can be healing for so many of us. So now that I see how this works, Daphne, this retreat, girl, is going to be so much life. Like, I'm so excited. Picture this, picture this. Let me tell you about this retreat. So, again, lemonade reference, right? Do y'all remember towards 3/4 of the way through the film? Y'all don't understand how many times I've seen this. And I'm gonna tell y'all another secret about lemonade. But y'all, if y'all make fun of me, I promise you, I will fight you on sight, like for real. But remember in lemonade, towards like 3/4, halfway, 3/4 through the way, where they're all kind of like in Bayou area, Louisiana. They're off kind of in the woods, and they're just really building and holding space for each other, and it's like completely beautiful. It transitions from them being like in the 1800s to them being a modern time. It's after they do the Ebo landing, walk out into water scene. Picture that as a retreat. Picture that with women coming together, holding space in really sacred land, and building, learning, rebuilding together. That's retreat. I'm gonna save my lemonade story, like how lemonade gets my whole life together on flights, for another Facebook Live. Hey, Tina, Tina, Tina. I'm so glad you're here. So, and Daya, I'm taking those thumbs up mean that you're gonna join me on retreat, right? Because I'm bougie, like I don't think we can do real camping anymore. I think we're gonna have to do either glamping or like be somewhere with like, air conditioning and no bugs. Like I don't mind bugs, but I know all my friends do. So, and we got to be cute to get our whole lives together. Um, what else do you guys want to know besides my crazy Beyonce story? So, Latoya, I'm not sure if you're here anymore, but you don't have to fight me anymore because I told Latoya I was so proud of her for showing up on live. And she's like, but we ain't seen you. I was like, I'll get to it. She's like, if you don't post that you're going to do it tonight, I'm going to tell everybody else that you're going to do it tonight. And she actually lives here in Dallas. And so she was going to get me if I didn't make sure I came on live. So I did it. All right, ladies, and I had a couple of gentlemen earlier. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight for our Friday night conversations. And I can't wait to tell you guys when the next one is. Oh, the lemonade. It's so silly, Daphne. It's whatever. But I'll tell that story another time. Hey, Famira, I talked and bragged on you too about how y'all have really got my whole life together. So you just got to go back and watch the replay. But love y'all. Daphne, the bugs ain't gonna kill you. The bugs are not gonna kill you, boo. But I guess. Oh, Latoya, you did mean it. I know she was. I was like, y'all. I was like in the car. I was like, okay, Latoya, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Please don't call me out. Please don't roll up to my house and beat me up. I mean, I'm gonna try to fight, but yeah.
I'll do it.
See, Amaya says she's gonna do it. She says she's gonna fight you. Not sure. Thank you guys, and we'll do this another time. And I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna commit to anything. We'll do this soon. How about that? Love you guys. Bye.